Yo, what is going on? It's been a minute, but I'm back. Gunna has brought me back from the dead. He has just dropped the best album of the year in my opinion, and the production is insane. And of course, he is one of my favorite artists, so it would be wrong to not break down how to make perfect beats for Gunna's new One of One album. Also, quickly, me and First Select have just dropped a brand new kit, which is a stash kit. It's only £13 and it's got everything you need in it, so hit me up if you're interested in that. We're just making a website, we'll get it up and running soon. Anyway, let's get into the video. Alright, so for this I'm going to make a full beat, but at the moment we're just in the loop project, so I'm just going to show you what it sounds like before we get into anything else. So when listening to this album, I picked up quite a few things that I heard all throughout. One of the main things is all the beats sound very ambient and quite calm, but they still have good energy to them. So I thought to start it off just to capture that vibe. Had to start with a pad, so I'm using Forgotten Valley from Analog Lab 5, which is my go-to for any pads to be honest. So the chords are very simple. I'm starting off at an F sharp, going down to an E and then down to a D, and it just repeats, except this one here you can see when it comes back up to the E it's just for a short bit, and then on this part here it comes in just one before. That's pretty much the whole thing. I'm just going to play it to you real quick. So I've turned it down quite a bit, and the only two things I've got on this are EQs. I'm using this Pro Q3 from FabFilter. This one has like a built-in compressor, so if you drag this top knob down it compresses that frequency, and it was a bit sharp here so I just put it down. And then of course I've got this basic EQ just taking out the low ends. So another one of the main sounds throughout this whole album was a guitar, so I've got this Renuxance guitar right here. And basically I've just followed the same chord progression as the pads, and then I've just arpeggiated a few things here and there and added a little bit of a top line. Also I've got it strumming just to make it sound a little bit more realistic, and the velocities are all over the place, so this is what it sounds like. So as you could probably hear right there, it's not actually in the same pitch, but we'll get to why I did that in a second. And then we've got this second guitar thing. It is only one note, except this time I've left it so that it slides up the note. So for the mixing on this, I've done all my go-to things for making a guitar sound more realistic. So first up I've used this reverb, and then of course a chorus. Then I've added a fresh air, which is meant to be for vocals, but I use it on a lot of guitars. It just makes them sound more lively and bright. And then I've got this imager here where I've put the width up, just makes it a lot more spacious. And once I did all of that, I converted those two out into MP3 files and then pitched them down 3 semitones, because that makes it sound a bit more vintage. So I recommend you put your guitar melodies on MIDI up 3 or down 3 semitones, convert it out, and then put it back into the normal pitch. It just makes it sound a lot better in my opinion. So now moving on to the flute, I'm using this Blueberry Fields from Omnisphere, and I've just got this playing one little accent on the first and the second half. So for the mixing, I just panned it to the left by 30%. Then I added a reverb where I've made it very wet and then turned down the dry quite a bit so it's very spacious. I also added a chorus to give it a bit more of a wave. And then I've used this EQ to take out the lows and again compress the harsh frequencies. And I did the exact same thing as I did for the guitar. I just converted it out and then pitched it up 3 semitones, because on MIDI I put it down 3 semitones. Just makes it sound more realistic. Next up is this one-shot flute. I didn't make this myself. I found it online on Splice, and I've just got it playing and then it plays coming back into it but reversed. And to make this one complement the other flute nicely, I've made it pan to the right by 30% so that each one is in each ear. And all I've done on this is just add a fruity reverb because it was pretty nice as it was already. And last of all, I'm using this one-shot bass, and it just follows the root notes of the pads and the guitar. The only thing I've got for the mixing on this is a distortion where I've put the pre all the way up, and then on the mixer I've got it at 1%, which doesn't sound like it would do anything, but you can hear it crackle and it just sounds a lot more warm in the mix. Okay, so now I've made an entire beat with it, and I've kept in mind all the production from the album and tried to put it into my beat as well. So one thing that I noticed was that in a lot of the beats, the drums actually come at the start, they play straight away. So I've done that myself here, and then it goes into a little interval and then the whole beat starts playing. I've also noticed that a lot of the drums are very simple, so with the hi-hats, instead of going crazy like I would on a dark beat, I've done it so that it's pretty much a two-step all throughout, except here at the beginning it's just got 3 playing, and then I've got these rolls down at the end which are quite quiet. And then I've just added the other essentials, being a snare, an open hi-hat, and of course a kick. On this beat I've not actually put an 808 because I noticed that in a lot of the beats it's just a sub bass or a real bass playing, so I've kept that out for this beat and I've put a different kind of bass. But anyway, this is the drums. And for the bass that plays all throughout the beat, I've put this Moog bass from Omnisphere. And another thing that I've done at this section here, I've just put the whole melody down an octave before it comes into the main part, because that just helps it bring more energy when the rest comes in. And on the beginning, I've put it with the real bass that we made in the loop, and on the interval and on the outro, and then a few risers, and then all of that makes this. So that's the full beat and the process behind making beats for Gunna's new 1 of 1 album. I've not made too many videos recently because I got a bit tired out and bored of making the same things, but as soon as a new album comes out or I've got a new idea, I'll definitely be back on making videos. But anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.